Okay.
All right.
Good evening, everyone, or good afternoon. We're back at the boardroom again, not at the Art Center.
Right.
So we're pre-recording this one also in the afternoon. And the guests today are from St. Joseph's School in Zell, Missouri. And we have Matt and Carrie and Shelley. So they're going to talk a little bit about what's happening out at Zell.
Okay.
So whoever wants to start,
Well,
start talking.
I'll start. The school's mission statement is each child grows as a disciple of Jesus, a member of their family, and a strong student through the Education Center of Christ and Family. So we're going to keep that going. And one of the questions that we have that a lady was supposed to be here tonight to give us some questions is what prompted the decision to keep the school open and how was it reached? So the current School of Zell is closing in May, and we are going to start an independent school in August. So
So basically, the Archdiocese decided that there's been a consolidation plan that's been going on, and we kind of got caught up in the wash of that a little bit. I think is probably the best way to put it. I remember being here in the non-renovated room a couple years ago talking about the efforts to try to ensure that the entire parish wouldn't be closed down actually. And in the end, those were efforts were pretty successful. At this point, there is a shared pastor between St. Agnes and St. Joseph, but the communities in both cases are thriving, I would say, pretty well. So what we're attempting to do here is to create an independent elementary school that's really rooted in the Catholic faith. There were some concerns about, the school's always been really small.
Yes.
And then the kind of plans was like, well, what we need to do is we need to consolidate. And fortunately down here, it hasn't been affected as much as you've seen in St. Louis. With many schools being closed, parishes being, consolidated left and right. We're fortunate to not have been, hit as hard, but it's still being affected here. We're hopeful that we'll be able to continue on as an independent school that will still have that strong Catholic identity, but at the same time will be funded independently, run independently, under the way that parochial schools work. Is that you've got the principal that's in charge of administration, but ultimately the person who's in charge is the pastor. So over here, here at Valley, you have the principals of the grade school and the high school, but who makes all of the decisions about hiring those principals, for instance, or anybody else? Ultimately, that's going to be Father Burkemper, who's the pastor there, and the same will be up at St. Agnes, where Father Weber makes that decision. With an independent school, those decisions are made by board of directors. That's a bunch of lay people. You've got three of them right here. The school, in its current iteration, will close in mid-May. But what we're attempting to do is to just roll right on through, continue a K-5 elementary school that will reopen in August at fairly the same time as it would have if it had continued as a parochial school. One big thing that we're planning to change is that while we will have the K-5 with mixed grades, working together, we're also going to have a homeschool hybrid program. And we've seen the rise of homeschooling across the entire country, and that's St. Jen is no exception to that. We've gotten a decent amount of feedback. There was just a woman the other day when we were putting out information about a parents' Q&A session that we're having later this evening. Oh, I was thinking about homeschooling my kids, but I was always hoping that there would be something out there that was like a happy medium, right? And so we've always believed that parents are the primary teachers for their kids,
Right.
No matter what. Even if you're sending them full-time to, it doesn't matter, parochial school, some other private school, to the public school, parents are the ones who teach their kids, the most here. They're supposed to be the primary educators. Our job is just to help. And so if for folks that are thinking about homeschooling or already currently homeschooling, what we're going to offer is on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we would have homeschoolers come in, join the classes that are there, and those days would be geared around certain specials, certain, so you have a lot of core subjects that are going to be taught on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday at the school. Parents will do the same for their homeschooled kids. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, there'd be a lot of activities that would probably work better in a group setting. For instance, if you wanted to do a big history timeline, for
Or
instance.
STEM.
STEM projects would be perfect. Also on Tuesdays and Thursdays, those are the days that the kids go to church. So you're going to incorporate, them really into the community there. So that would be a new offering that we think that it meets a certain demand that's not just here in St. John County, but we've had folks in Perry County as well that have that want to be part of this.
No, that'd be great.
Yeah, we see how it works for high school students, right? There's a lot of high school students that are homeschooled and they want to get a lab. They want to do labs, right? Or they want to be part of sports teams so that they're involved in a couple of classes, either at Valley or over here at the public high school. This is nothing like super unique, except that we're taking it all the way down to the elementary level and to see what works best for the students and for the families.
Yeah. So, what else do you want to hear about? That's like the thing that makes us, I think, unique. I haven't heard of any other school trying to do that for an elementary school. So, and you never know, we might be able to grow. We have some hard deadlines as a board that we set for ourselves to make sure this is a go, and we want to make sure that we're have enough students, financially stable. We will be looking for sponsorships from businesses, whether I feel like either sponsor a child or just a set amount to help keep the school going, because we want to keep tuition reasonable. We don't want to be outrageous with it. So that's some of the goals like the board is setting. And I feel like we're doing a good job. We're in the hunt for 2 teachers. We have 1 already signed on. And with the teachers, like I feel like they're going to have more free range. Like as a board, they can come to us, but we're not going to tell them exactly what they have to do. So that's kind of nice as well.
Yeah, there are certain guidelines. There are certain things, obviously, that you're going to, always want to hit. But like they already currently have a lot of flexibility. But this would give them, even more. So if there are, teachers out there who thought, like, I would really like to have the freedom to do X, Y, Z that I just haven't been able to do either at public school or at a parochial school, give us a shout. We might be able to make that work out. So we do have, as Carrie was saying, we do have a couple of initial deadlines that we're coming up. One is an initial enrollment goal here at the end of March. If we can hit that, and I'd say we're pretty close, but if we can hit that, then we can move to the next stage, which would be further fundraising efforts. We've sent out, I want to say 100, 200, mailers out to businesses in the area. So we will see what kind of response that we get there. We've got people who have donated to us actually through some crowdfunding efforts. It's been across the country. It hasn't been in huge numbers, but people have been, sending in from up in St. Louis, and they're hearing about our situation. So there is a significant amount of interest. And one thing that we have said, though, is that for everybody that's supporting us here in this initial stage, if for whatever reason it doesn't end up working out, it was such a low risk opportunity, I would say, just to sponsor us and help us get off the ground, because we're going to return all the money if we can't get it off the ground. No one's making any money.
We're returning. If we don't make our goals, we are returning the money. Yes,
and we're not going to let it linger on forever. The same for the families that have signed on with us. We do have that initial goal, and that's just something that we'd be able to then move forward. And if we get ourselves through April and then we don't achieve an additional, target, but hopefully we'll keep hitting, the things that we're.
And we'll be having events too. Like we had some kickoff free breakfasts, but we have a really creative board, I feel like, that is coming up with different events and ideas to also help promote the school and fundraisers. And I think they do a really good job with that.
Yeah, and also to bring the whole wider community together. In a couple of weeks, we've got a big rummage sale. That has probably attracted more attention.
Yes,
it really does.
I think with the prices of things today, That's
And it's
probably
gonna
a
be at the
big
school.
reason.
It's gonna be at the school March 29th,
29th, yep.
8 to
8 a.m.
8 a.m. I know
Until we
it's a
sell
second.
almost everything.
Yes, just
right?
come. We're willing to bargain. Come on, come
Yeah,
get some good
everything
deals.
everything should be pretty inexpensive, especially since it's all being donated.
Yes.
That's pure profit for us right there. Not that
Yes.
we're going to be making a whole lot. Well, the best thing is that it's going to pull attention to the school and to the parish, because
Yes.
while we'll no longer be a parochial school, the idea is that we will have our independent elementary school working right alongside a parish mission pre-K. So we'll still, like right now, there is the pre-K and the elementary school, and they're all under the same umbrella. The difference would be next year is that the elementary school would be run basically by regular people, although there are a number of people who have got good business backgrounds, education backgrounds, human resources backgrounds. So there's a lot of expertise among our core group of people. So they will run that, and then the pre-K would be under the parish. So that would be run by another administrator, but ultimately would then run up to the pastor. The elementary school, not so much. So every dollar that gets donated to us, or every dollar tuition that gets paid, goes directly and only to the school, not further up the chain or anything like that, and no I guess it could be potential like control by the archdiocese. So I know that there have been some people that would be like concerned, like, well, we're not outside, we would be outside of that. At the same time, it's going to remain Catholic in its identity. Nothing will change about that. In fact, I personally wouldn't be involved in any kind of project if it wasn't going to be, Catholic in that respect. It would just be, again, like back to where it would have been when the school and the parish were originally founded. You didn't have a whole lot of that, like, well, the archdiocese couldn't say a whole lot because you couldn't get up there. They couldn't get the information down to you. It was all, a lot of local, community just working together to educate their kids and raise them up as good citizens, good young people.
And that probably all started in the 40s.
Ours actually started, like the first school started in 1863.
No, I'm talking
that what you
about archdiocese.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
having a lot of interest, yeah.
Yes.
The centralization. So, and the main reason that I am involved in it, my wife is involved in this, is that we're big homeschooling families. Like our oldest two kids, when we lived in Virginia, they were at a Catholic school for a couple of years, but we took them out. It was outrageously expensive. That was first. And second, while they did a good job at educating our kids academically, we just thought that when it came to the faith aspect, it was a little bit lacking. I think they tried. But the demand was always pushed at, there was really like academic excellence. I'm all for academic excellence, but I'm most interested in my children being raised up to be good human beings. Like that is where I have my top focus. So my wife's in a lot of homeschooling right now. The oldest two are actually, the number 3 is as well. But she is an alum of St. Joseph, went there in 4th and 5th grade when we moved over here. And just absolutely fell. She is the biggest cheerleader for the school, and made friendships with people who are just the most, they're just the most kind-hearted and nice and sweetest people. The school is so small that there's like no different social groups or everything like that. Everybody's together, and not just for the individual grades. There's people that are, 4th, 5th graders. They're working with they're right alongside the pre-Kers in at lunch and everything like that, and out there at recess. And it's really sweet to watch that all like operate as a family. Basically, it was everybody there is like you're being it was like a bunch of families all got together that have known each other for many years, or even part of your extended family was with cousins and stuff like that, all just like hanging out each day. You guys have had a lot more experience with that. Like Shelley, what's been your
we've been there 11 years now. So our oldest in 8th grade. So he had 2 years of pre-K, went kindergarten all the way to 5th grade. and then our youngest is in 4th grade. So a lot of the stuff I liked is a small family knit community, going to church, but reading in church, which I think is great public speaking skills. As well as like not being confined to just your grade. So yeah, they all interact of all ages. My son's in 8th grade. One of his best friends is a sophomore, and they became very good friends at Zell and have stayed good friends. And so it's not like you're just locked into your grade. You have kids all different ages. The bigs usually help the littles. The littles really look up to the bigs as
I
like,
bet.
brothers and sisters. They have like help them in church and different things like that. So it's been really, really great, and sharing the classrooms. The younger grade of the classroom typically is ahead of the game because they're picking up and listening in on what the older grades learning. So our son, switched to St. John. He is in advanced math and JHS, has thrived. I get so many great reports from the teachers at middle school about like how respectful he is. And just overall, just a really great kid. And I think it's just that foundation that he received at Zell, and the same with our daughter. So yeah, we really do like the school, and parishioners there as well. So at St. Joseph. So yeah, hoping that it continues on for many years.
It's a little family.
Yes.
Yes.
It is.
Jimmy asked that one. Did you hear that one? You hear that one next?
Oh, the question about the grants.
Yes.
So yeah, the situation, there have been some families that have been helped by the Today and Tomorrow Education Fund, which is which is just a way, the Roman Catholic Foundation, they are the ones who fund that, and then it goes through kind of like a portal, an administrative portal by the Archdiocese. So yeah, that is something that unfortunately is kind of like a negative in terms of the change. Like, we're not eligible for that at this time. I've already spoken with people at the Roman Catholic Foundation. However, there is a way that we can get back in. It would not be applicable to us this year, this coming year, but as I said, while we're an independent school and we're continuing in the Catholic tradition, and there is a way to then be certified as being a Catholic school, but not under the Archdiocese. So there are actually a number of those kinds of schools in the St. Louis area. We had, it was very generous, is that one of the women who founded the St. Austin School up in St. Louis came and spoke with us right as we were starting to try to get this whole thing off the ground. And she said it was a bit of a laborious process for her, but it's a good chance that it won't be as much for us because there has already been the history of it being a parochial school. Right. And in her case, they were forming something brand new and not at a parish, and it was just a group of like lay people that were being pulled from other places and from a private school that was not associated with the Archdiocese already at that time. So that took a little bit longer for us. I would think it would be pretty easy, even just within 1 year of operation, to then say like, hey, take a look at our Catholic identity. Look at the fact that the kids still continue to go to mass. We've got these wonderful traditions. We were just talking before we were getting on the air here about what we were doing for St. Joseph being the patron over there. It's wonderful, by the way. I would point out that the other schools in the area were doing something where you've got the dads and kids, together at mass there. And for us, we took an old tradition of kind of like building a little bit of altar. It's called the St. Joseph table. Put that in our hall. It had all sorts of beautiful statues and icons. And in the past, kids have made little like paper lilies and decorated. Also, they used art class to do all that. People brought in things to donate to St. Vincent de Paul Society. We also had really neat looking breads and stuff like that. So it's all part of like an old Italian type tradition to build all of that. And we had the pastor come in and bless that. And so everybody kind of came together to donate items, decorate it, do a little bit of prayers and everything like that, and have it big, prominent displayed in our hall. And again, it's just one of those things where it's big, prominent displayed, and it's a small school, so everybody sees it. Like all the kids see it; they're walking by it all the time. All the parents have seen it. Anybody who has been in the hall in the last couple of days will have seen it. So. We can point to those things and say, like, yes, obviously we have a really strong Catholic identity, and then all the archdiocese would have to do is have somebody come and take a look, basically, and then be like, yeah, it's a pretty Catholic school. It looks like a pretty Catholic school to me. Once they say, yeah, this is a Catholic school, and you can say that, you can say, this Catholic school, then all of a sudden we become eligible for the grants again, which is wonderful.
That is.
So, I mean, so that would be really great.
Maybe next year.
So perhaps, after, and as it is right now, as we're trying to like get off the ground, I would point out that we've got very reasonable tuition rates and the best multi-student rate of anyone in the entire, probably in like counties. Are probably, I would say, I would go so far as to say, of any school with any Catholic identity all the way up to St. Louis, like we would have if you've got multiple kids and that would be the place to send.
Right.
And again, if you are interested and you want to sign your kids up and cost may be an issue, you can always talk to us here on the board, and we can try to figure out to make that work.
And if you're on the fence and you have questions, we have a Facebook page.
Yep.
Any of us, if you know us, you probably have our cell phones. You can call us.
Come to the rummage sale.
Come to the rummage sale. My other thing is that we are we can set up, we have to get permission and set up a time, but we would love to give you a tour of the school and answer any questions. So please don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah.
So that's really all I have. Do you guys have anything
Yeah,
else?
I think it'll be a success because the
Thank you,
parishioners are very supportive. And I think even our parishioners here at St. Jen
Good.
are supportive of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want all Catholic education to thrive.
Yes.
Here. I mean,
Right.
there's no like, competition. If anything, we would love to see all three schools working together
Yes.
even more than they already are. We would like to see all the parishes working really closely together. It was pretty inspirational to see the three parishes that are the rural parishes that are now that share the same pastor and Father Burkemper over there. All three of them doing a like scavenger hunt thing that they did it together, basically to help build relationships. There's no reason to have these kinds of silos. I don't think we're all united in our same faith and in our shared values, and even people who are not Catholic are obviously more than welcome to take a look at our school. There's a lot of overlap in shared values between, I think, 80-90% of the people that live in this area are fairly well on the same page on like 70-80% of things. We all want to see our kids grow up in safe, loving environments and to grow up to be, good citizens of their community and to give back. So we're all on the same page there. So we would love for you to, come take a look.
And I think all those special things that the small parishes do, and even St. John Parish, I think they put a lasting memory in a children's head
Yes.
that they remember for years and years. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for having us. We
Well,
appreciate it.
We're glad you came. I'm glad you came. Jean is not well today, and
Aw.
she just joined me, so she missed she made the first shot, but she missed her second one. She missed her second one.
It happens.
So if you know anybody that is interested in hosting with us, we could use one more.
Oh, okay. I'll see what
Yes,
yes.
Terry.
Since I know a lot of people, I'll see what I can find.
Yeah,
So,
and we're gonna go back to our old schedule now.
okay.
We kind of went to the afternoons, especially during the cold and that. Everybody didn't want to get out at night, and I didn't want to get out at night. So we started pre-filming, which this is today too, but it'll be up on YouTube. probably by morning.
Morning, I think.
All
I
right.
think that's what Charlie tries to do.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
you.
When that's up, I'm going to be putting it all on our social.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to any of them at Zell. You want to give your email?
Info at basically info at St. Joseph Zell, so stjosephzell.org. So you can send that will go to all of us here on the board, and we'll get back to you right away.
Okay. So you don't have to be of the Catholic religion to enroll. It's very Christian, of course,
Yes.
and it's not pushed on you. It's just teaching
Yeah.
Just
the
teaching.
basics of the faith and what being a good person.
Yes.
Yes, that is the most important, and loving one another. It's so beautiful to watch the kids, when you've got the running the gamut up to 11, 12 years old, 11 years old or so, praying for one another, especially when there's serious family things going on. And I can, speak from experience. Actually, it was one of the most moving things to see. I had our youngest, our baby, had an injury. He fell off a bed, and you're normally, if anybody who's a parent, you've got a kid who's probably fallen off bed, no big deal, right? No big deal. Yeah, well, this was a case where it was a really big deal. He had a brain injury, and we almost lost him. Unfortunately, he's recovered all well and everything, but basically every kid in there was all like, what do you, something that you guys want to pray for something? The hands would go up. I want to pray for Ephraim. I want to pray for Ephraim too. I was like, oh, this is the most adorable little thing. He's got a picture of his face on there, on the board for all the prayer petitions, just seeing everybody come together and love him. And they do that, for one another as well. If anybody who's got a sick grandparent or something like that, it's really beautiful to watch these kids with big open hearts be so interested in everything that's happening in their classmates, families, extended families, and they take it personally like it was their own family.
They do.
They made the blankets for the 2 sick kids and prayed over them.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
And then donated them. So it was kind of neat.
Yeah.
And the church out there does have first Saturdays, if anybody's interested in that. I wish St. Jim was starting, but they haven't yet. So anyway, you need a place for your kids to go to school, and you want to try something new, different, for a couple years, or maybe for the
A little
whole
longer.
gamut of it. You can contact them at
Info at stjosephzell.org.
Okay.
Yep.
And so there's, with anybody that's got anybody's phone number, they can call
Yep.
and ask questions also.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, well, thank you guys for coming today.
Yeah.
And we sure hope this helps.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Say good night, everyone, or good afternoon. It's not 9 anymore.